Okay, so this is going to be a combination of activities 4 and 5, where we take our movie databases, create a script to create those databases, and then also have a bat file run a script for us, or any set of actions. So, what we have here is our script to create our database, which is what we're going to go through first. At the top here, you see I create the database, named it after myself. I use the use command here so that we don't have to go through the dot nomenclature when referencing tables, just because that's kind of annoying. Then I get right into creating our tables. We have our stars table, which is going to include all of our stars. Our star ID, which is the primary key for this table, first name, last name, just general information. And then we have shorthands for director ID, writer ID, producer ID, actor ID, and screenplay ID for those that need them. This is just a reference table, which we use later to help autofill stuff and just for general usefulness. And then we have, after that table, we create our movies table, which actually lists the movies that are going to be on our database. Here we have our movie ID, which is our primary key, has an auto argument on it, just like our star ID does. It's an integer, followed by the movie name, with a very long character list because those movies get very long, and a release date. I had the release date set to a date, but for whatever reason I couldn't get the format right for the date, so it kept throwing an error. I'll have to figure that out sometime, but it was just getting frustrating because the format I was putting it in on the script wasn't working. But anyways, we have similar tables for our... Then moving on, we have our other tables which divvy out our stars into their individual roles within the movies. So we have a director table which has the director ID, which is a primary table. We have their specific director ID. Oh no, this is the import. This is the star ID for that director, just as a reference, and then the director name. And then here we list the star ID for that director as a foreign key, which references our stars and goes back to star ID. Just to go back and talk about this for a minute, this database is a bit convoluted and overly complex. I think I did a little too much with this, but at very minimum, it got me used to writing scripts and messing with all these silly things like foreign keys and all that stuff. So even though it might be a little obtuse, it did teach me some more, which is kind of the point of the class. But anyways, that's our directors table. Then we have the same thing for our writers, our producers, our actors, and our screenplays. And then here we have our reference tables, which will connect our directors and movies, our writers and movies, our producers and movies. And in these, we have a specific ID for that connection, which is just a primary key to search it by. But all that is just a primary key for the table. Then we have our movie ID, which is imported from our movies, or not imported, but is a foreign key for the movies, which basically links the movie to this primary ID. And then we have our director ID, which also links our director to the primary ID, kind of a roundabout way, linking the directors with the movie. And the movie IDs and director IDs are foreign keys, as you can see here. Then we have the same thing for our writers, producer, actor, screenplays. Lots of fun there. Down here, we start putting in our data. So we have insert into movies, our field names, insert the values, and then here is our list of values that we're going to be throwing into those. Following that, we have our massive table with all of our stars in it. Lots of nulls here because Peter Jackson was only a director, a producer, and a screenplay writer. He was not a writer and an actor, at least in this database. And we have, if you notice on the inputs, we have nulls for the initial values, which would be our IDs, just because they're going to be autofilled with the auto increment that we put in way at the top. Up here, auto increments. Anyways, so massive data splurge. And then here, just to make our lives a little easier, we have the filling commands for our directors, producers, and writers tables, but we already put this information in. So what we can do, we put this information in our reference table and our stars table. So what we can do is just say insert into directors the star ID for that director and the director name. Which will be the star ID and the first name from our original table. It will be from stars, where the director ID is not null, and the DID is going to be the field that we have put into our stars table. We do this with our producers, writers, and actors, and screenplay, which is lots of fun. And then down here we have all of our references. So this is going to be filling in the tables where we associate our actors with our movies, our directors with our movies, yada yada yada. With these, I did not include the primary ID because they're going to be auto-incremented anyways, and I probably should have for the sake of being pedantic, but I chose not to. And all this is just linking our movie ID with our actor ID. And we do this for each of the movies, the actors, directors, producers in each of their movies, which is nice and fun. And then down here at the bottom, we have just a simple printout for those tables. What I did was I only listed the stars and the movies, which are two big tables. And I only listed a movies producer connection table because that's going to be the one that's just going to be just a list of numbers, which really doesn't say a whole lot. Actually, what I'm going to throw in here too is just, let's say we'll do producers, just so we can see those individual reference tables too, even though they're not that interesting either. But either way, we'll throw that in there as well. I'm going to go ahead and save this. Then running over to Vim, we have our nice little bat file that we're going to run, which just changed the directory to the appropriate directory for this, and then the command line command we want to run. We have MySQL user root, and then the request a password, and then the file we're going to run. So we're going to head over to our command prompt. Let's just go ahead and type it in. That's the name of the bat file that we're going to run. It's going to run our stuff for us, prompt us for a password, and then crap out a bunch of stuff. So, starting at the top, we can see our stars table, which is very long. Very long. 64 people in total. Did I duplicate this? I thought there were only 32. I don't know, maybe I missed. I don't think I did. Yeah, it printed it twice for some reason. Either way. So, you can see here we have our fields, which is our ID number, our primary key, first name, last name, director ID, writer ID, producer ID, actor ID, and screenplay ID for those that have them, and a bunch of null values for all the people who, I don't know, don't do those roles. This here is just a sample of the producer table, or this is just the producer table that we have. We have similar ones for directors, writers, all that fun stuff, and you can see here this will be their producer ID, and then this is their star ID, and this is just their first name for easy reference. This is a nice little list of our movies table, which has got our movie ID, the names, and then the release date at the end. And then this is just a sample table of our association table between our movies and our producers. You can see the unique auto-increment keys here to the left, the movies, and then the producers that those movies had. So these first three are going to be Lord of the Rings trilogy. They all have the number 1 producer ID, which I'm pretty sure associates with Peter Jackson. And that's going to be it. Pretty short video. Thank you.